When Ryan's grandmother passed away, she left him a house. Not just any house, a 3-story relic hidden deep in the countryside, untouched since the 1950s. Locals called it Hollow House. He didn't plan to live there, just visit, maybe sell it. But the moment he unlocked the front door, something felt off. The air was thick, cold, and heavy, like the house had been holding its breath for decades. The first thing he noticed was the ticking. A clock somewhere deep inside the house, ticking slowly, steadily. But every time he tried to find it, the sound moved. He explored the dusty halls, his flashlight trembling in his hand. Photos lined the walls, all black and white, all of strangers. But in every photo, someone's face had been scratched out. He found the kitchen untouched, old utensils, a cracked radio, a door leading to the basement. But the key for that door was missing. Upstairs, one door was locked tight, a brass nameplate read, "The Study." When Ryan tried the handle, something whispered from behind it. Just one word. "Leave." He froze. The whisper wasn't from the other side of the door. It came from right behind him. He turned, nothing. Then he saw it. The front door key, the one still in his pocket, was covered in dust. But he had just used it. The whisper came again, this time from inside the walls. "Welcome home, Ryan." The storm started that night. Rain hit the windows in slow, heavy waves, and the house seemed to breathe with every flash of lightning. Ryan couldn't sleep. Every few minutes he heard something moving above him. Soft steps, slow, deliberate. But the second he looked upstairs, the sound stopped. He decided to explore again. Maybe if he understood the house, he'd stop feeling watched. In the hallway, he found a book lying open on the floor. It wasn't there before. The pages were yellow and swollen with moisture. And inside, pressed flat between them, a brass key. The same key he'd been looking for. On the spine, written in faded ink, "The Study." He hesitated, staring at the locked door upstairs. The key fit perfectly. The door opened with a low, exhausted sigh. The room inside was untouched, as if someone had just left a moment ago. A desk covered in papers, a typewriter, an old lamp still flickering weakly, though the house had no power. On the desk, a reel-to-reel tape recorder. A label on it read, "March 12, 1957. Ryan pressed play. At first, only static. Then a voice. Soft, trembling, unmistakably female. "If you're hearing this, the house knows you're here." It was his grandmother's voice. "I tried to contain it, to silence the walls, but it learns, it remembers." Her breathing grew shaky. "Never record your own voice in this house. It keeps them. All of them." The tape ended suddenly with a click, but the reels kept spinning. And then the voice returned. Not hers this time. His. "I understand." Ryan froze. He hadn't said anything. He hadn't spoken a word. The recorder clicked again, and played back another whisper. "You already did." He ripped the tape out and threw it across the room. But the static didn't stop. The sound came now from the walls, from inside the wood, like the house was replaying every sound it had ever heard. Footsteps echoed upstairs, but this time they weren't soft. They were running. He ran to the door, but it was locked again from the inside. On the desk, the typewriter began to type by itself. One word, over and over. "Listen." And then silence. The lamp went out, and in the reflection of the dark window, Ryan saw someone standing behind him, wearing his grandmother's locket. Ryan didn't sleep that night. He couldn't. Every time he closed his eyes, he heard faint whispers, like someone speaking through static. He smashed the tape recorder to pieces, but the sound didn't stop. It was coming from below. He found himself standing in front of the basement door, the one that had always been locked. Now it was open. A cold draft brushed against his face, carrying with it the smell of damp earth and metal. He grabbed his flashlight and stepped down the creaking stairs. The air grew heavier with every step. Walls dripped with moisture. Wires hung from the ceiling like veins. And then he saw it. Rows of shelves covered in dust, filled with tape reels. Dozens of them. Hundreds, maybe. Each labeled with a name and a date. Some were old, almost faded away. But a few looked new. Ryan's hand trembled as he picked one up. The label read, "Ryan Carter, pending." Before he could react, a faint voice came from the far end of the room. "Don't play that one." He froze. The voice was whispering from the dark, but the words were too familiar. It was his own voice. "Put it back," the voice said again. "It's not ready yet." Ryan turned the flashlight. Nothing. Just shadows and shelves. He took a step backward and hit something. Someone. A tall figure stood behind him, motionless. No face. Only a wide grin carved into where the mouth should be. Its hands were covered in old magnetic tape, wrapped around its arms like veins pulsing faintly in the dark. The figure tilted its head, and in Ryan's own voice it whispered, "You shouldn't have listened." The light flickered, and the figure was gone. Ryan stumbled back, breathing hard. He dropped the tape. It unspooled across the floor, stretching into the dark. From the tangled tape came whispers, hundreds of voices, overlapping. Crying, pleading, laughing. The air buzzed with static. The shelves began to shake. One of the reels fell, and shattered, and from within it, something moved. He ran up the stairs, heart pounding. But when he reached the top, the door was gone. Just a smooth wall. Behind it, the whispers grew louder. "Don't stop listening." The next morning never came. Ryan couldn't tell if hours had passed or days. There was no sunlight, only the same gray gloom bleeding through the windows. He wandered the hallways, looking for a way out. Every door he tried led him somewhere he'd already been. The house had folded in on itself. Finally, he found something new. A narrow passage behind a torn wallpaper, leading to a door he'd never seen before. It wasn't locked, but the handle was warm, as if someone had just touched it. The door opened into a small room. Walls lined with mirrors. Dozens of them. All different shapes and ages. Some cracked, some fogged. At first, they reflected him. His tired face, his shaking hands. But then, one by one, the reflections began to change. In one mirror, he saw himself sleeping. In another, he was standing outside the house, watching his own reflection from the other side of the glass. Then, the largest mirror in the center flickered, and the reflection smiled. But Ryan didn't. He froze. The reflection tilted its head, just slightly, then reached out from the glass. Its hand pressed against the mirror's surface, and the glass moved, rippled like water. Ryan stumbled backward, his heartbeat pounding in his ears. A whisper filled the room, soft, rhythmic, like breathing. "You've seen what was. Now see what will be." The mirrors shifted. Their surfaces darkened. Images flashed. Fire, rain, faces screaming soundlessly. Then, the house itself, burning. And through the flames, Ryan saw himself, standing completely still, watching it all, smiling. He backed away, but hit another mirror behind him. This one didn't show his reflection. It showed a staircase, the basement stairs, and something moving at the bottom, slowly climbing upward. "It's coming," whispered his reflection from inside the glass. "You let it out." Ryan grabbed a nearby chair and smashed the mirror. The shards fell, but the image didn't disappear. The reflection remained, trapped in every fragment, each piece still moving. He ran for the door, but the hallway outside had changed again. Now it was lined with mirrors too, stretching into infinity. Every reflection whispered a single word, layering over itself until it became deafening. "Listen!" Ryan screamed. But his reflection didn't. It only smiled. Ryan didn't know where he was anymore. The mirrors, the halls, everything kept shifting, looping. Every step he took brought him back to the same room. The study. Only now, it looked different. The dust was gone. The lamp glowed steadily. The tape recorder, perfectly fixed, sat on the desk, waiting. And next to it, a fresh tape, labeled in neat handwriting. The final recording. Ryan's hands shook as he reached for it. He didn't remember writing that label. He didn't remember recording anything else either. He slid the tape into the recorder. Press play. At first, silence. Then static. Then, his own voice. "If you're hearing this, I'm already part of it." He froze. "You think you're listening, but it's listening to you." His voice was calm, too calm, measured, like someone reading from a script. "The house doesn't want to be empty. It needs a voice. That's how it lives. Every story you tell becomes another room." Ryan looked around and realized the room had changed again. The walls were covered in old tape reels, all of them spinning slowly, even though the machine was off. The voice on the tape continued. "You've told the story now, haven't you?" Ryan whispered back, trembling. "Yes." "Good," the voice replied. "Then listen." The recorder clicked, and Ryan heard breathing. Not from the speaker, from right behind him. He turned. The shadows in the corner moved. A figure stepped out. The same faceless shape from the basement. Its grin stretched wider now. But this time, it was holding something. A microphone. Ryan stepped back, shaking his head. "No, I'm not recording again." The figure tilted its head, and in his grandmother's voice it said, "You already are." Ryan looked down and saw the red light on the recorder blinking. Rec. His hands weren't his own anymore. He pressed the stop button, but the recorder didn't stop. It kept turning, recording, looping. The voice on the tape, his voice, began to repeat. "If you're hearing this, I'm already part of it." The walls trembled. The shelves collapsed. Every tape screamed in static. He ran for the door. But there was no door. Only the same walls closing in. The light went out. And in the dark, the recorder played one last line. "The story doesn't end when you stop listening." Then silence. Until a soft click, and the sound of someone pressing play.